All right, I think we're live. Let's get this show on the road. Awesome. So my name's James. I am the founder of CodeWP, and I'm really excited to be presenting this launch webinar to you guys. It's been a long time coming. We've been working on the new CodeWP.
I think we're live.
Oh, we got to turn off our demo here. We've been working on the new CodeWP for months, and I'm finally really excited to bring it to market and show you guys what we've been working on over the past many months. So without further ado, I'm going to walk you through what we've been working on over the past couple of months, what the CodeWP company has grown to. Then we'll take a look at the platform itself, the features of the platform, usage, things like that. And I'll be able to answer any questions that you may have via live stream at the end of it. So actually, let me just move my live stream here. Perfect. Okay. So for the live stream, if there are any questions that anybody has, please feel free to just submit them in the chat. I'll check the chat periodically, and if there are any questions that are relevant to what I'm speaking about, I can go and let you know. And if not, we'll cover them at the end of the chat. Okay, let's jump into it. So CodeWP 2.0, it's finally here. We've been working on this for about 8 months, and it is a complete rebuild from the ground up. So the first CodeWP started in my bedroom as just a passion project where I was playing with AI and found it really interesting. I shared it with a Facebook group, the Isotropic Facebook group. If you've been a part of it or seen it, thank you for being there from the start. And I was building AI for WordPress. I shared it with the group. People found it really interesting, and I decided, hey, maybe this might lead to a fun little side project. So in November 2022, I built the CodeWP version 1.0, the first version of version 1.0, and launched it to that group. It was built with WordPress. There was no monetization. There was nothing there. It was just building to build. So I shared that in November 2022, and people found it really interesting. And it kind of gave me the creative juice and fire to go ahead and say, hey, this might be a good idea to build into a fully featured side project. So after a couple of months, I launched the real version 1.0 with the payments and things like that. Version 1.0 was built on WordPress. It used WooCommerce for a subscription management tool, and it was really janky. And if you've been on the platform, the old one, you'll know there were a lot of things that needed to be fixed there. So what we did was, over the months and months and months of CodeWP running, we collected a ton of user feedback, and we watched how the platform was used, and we figured out what our AI was being used to generate, and we really took all of these learnings to heart. And in the early summer, late spring, I decided this makes sense to go and build as a full-time job. I'm going to go on to CodeWP full-time, and I'm also going to see if I can hire a really great team to kind of see the vision through. We know we have something with version 1.0, but we also know we need more than what version 1.0 has to offer our users. So in the spring and summer, I brought on an incredible CTO, Greg Hunt, who's able to kind of re-architect and rebuild the entire platform from scratch. And we really just got heads down into rebuilding the entire tool with all of the features that people needed, have been requesting, things like that, all of it baked into this rebuild. So the rebuild comes from the ground up. We've been working on it for months and months and months at this point. In addition to bringing on Greg, we brought on a bunch of other guys, Juan, Avi, Bruno, Christy, built a real company out of this. We also raised capital from the Com Fund, a really great fund, I think, for the type of company that we're building, and just went heads down for months and months and months. So you might have noticed that the participation in the CodeWP Facebook group dropped off a little bit, and there weren't that many updates to the old project. And that's just because we were completely focused on this new tool here. So with all of that background out of the way, we finally come to October 19th, where we're launching CodeWP 2.0. And this is the initial launch of something really big. It's kind of the groundwork and the framework that we're going to use to build out a suite of AI tools for WordPress creators, covering everything. It's going to cover code, chat, troubleshooting, security, direct integrations into WordPress websites, AI vision, things like that. And I'll talk a little bit more about what we have now, what's coming in the near future, and what's on the roadmap as well. But what we're launching today is a brand new rewrite of CodeWP with AI chat and code. And this essentially takes what the old platform was, we get feature parity with the old platform, and then we add all of the improvements as people have been asking for when it comes to coding. So I'll just run you through the website really quickly. You'll notice that we have a new site. There's probably some things that are broken, which will get fixed during today. But I'll run you through the site, and this is a great overview of what we've actually built. So AI chat and coding tools trained specifically for WordPress. A key word there is trained. We have custom AI. This is AI that you cannot find anywhere else. Our platform is AI for WordPress, and we're the only platform that I can tell that has this really good custom AI that's trained for WordPress, that's made specifically for our industry. We are a company for WordPress creators. We're not an AI company trying to build models for everybody. We focus on WordPress, and that's because we're good at it. I've been in WordPress for 8 years. Greg has been in WordPress for probably around 12. We do WordPress, and it's in our blood. So we're a WordPress specific product trained for WordPress. We offer proprietary AI for them. And as this quote says, it's the future of WordPress, and I really believe that it is bringing AI to WordPress. AI is the future of work, and we're able to bring this to all of our WordPress creators to make your lives easier. So enhance that workflow with WordPress, enhance the WordPress workflow with AI. And you can see, as I mentioned before, we have code and chat launched, and soon we'll be launching security and troubleshooting. So the first use case that you guys are all familiar with from CodeWP 1.0 is creating code. And in 1.0, you would go and enter a prompt, it would hit our AI, and it would spit something back out after you waited sitting at a screen that was loading for 30 seconds. That's how the old version worked. The new version is completely different and completely better. You create code conversationally. So it's as if you're speaking to a developer where you say, hey, I really want this specific feature for code, for WordPress or for WooCommerce or for Gravity Forms. Go and make it. CodeWP will write it directly into an editor, which I'll show you in a little bit. And then once it's written, you can either just use it as is, or you can say, hey, this works really well, but it doesn't match my specific use case. It doesn't match my exact needs. Can you go and change this line? Or can you go and add this functionality to it? Or can you refactor it to be OOP? And CodeWP will understand that you want to edit the code, and it will go and edit it for you in real time, making the changes on that editor. So that opens up a conversational flow where you can iterate on your creations. You don't have to just get one prompt right and download it and hope it works. What you can do is get one good prompt right, create that generation, and then continuously speak to it and say, change this, change this, change this, make this more difficult or more complex or something like that. So that's kind of how the new conversational flow works. And with that conversational flow, we also offer now multi-file support. So there's support for multiple files as well as multiple coding languages. You'll see here PHP, JavaScript, and CSS. We also, through the PHP, support SQL. And we also support multiple files, which I'll show you in a bit. And it's pretty magical. If you're asking for something that's complex and requires 3 files, maybe it needs that PHP, but also CSS and JavaScript, our CodeWP tool will identify, hey, to do this properly in WordPress, we'll need to bring in the CSS and JavaScript file as well as PHP. It'll create all 3. It's really impressive when it works, and it's something that is futuristic even to me, even though we've been building it for 6 months. So that leads me into the prompt to plugin. You can prompt into an entire plugin because of the multi-language and multi-file support. So I can realistically give a really good detailed prompt for a form plugin, and that form plugin will go and get generated. I'll have 3 files. I'll have a JavaScript for an AJAX submission. I'll have a CSS for the styling on the front end, and I'll have the PHP to manage the form and maybe an admin settings page, something like that. So very exciting. I'm really excited to show you how that works. Proprietary AI, so this is our own AI. This is for WordPress specifically. You can't get better than what we have to offer. We also have a projects feature, which I'll show you on the platform itself. This offers better accuracy, organization, things like that. And there are a lot of features coming in the future, and I'll show you that in the end of this video. Chat is a new feature that we've added, and this is very deeply connected with the code because code is now conversational. Chat is always conversational, so I'll show you how that works. But essentially, it opens up that conversational flow where you can go and chat about any WordPress feature very well. We're also going to be bringing AI Vision out of beta testing probably late November, and I'll talk more about that because it's a very cool feature. We bring over the plugin modes for WordPress. So in the old platform, we had our plugin modes. In the new platform, we also have plugin modes, and these modes are just revamped. They're much better, much more accurate. There are many more modes, and these modes work on both code and chat. So you select a mode, you go into that chat feature or you go into that code feature, you say, make me something or answer this question, and it draws on its up-to-date knowledge of what the plugin is, what the code base is, things like that, and essentially gives you a really good answer that you won't get anywhere else. So the modes are kind of our special sauce. Nobody else has WordPress modes. Nobody else is a WordPress-oriented product like we are. We are oriented towards WordPress, therefore we offer the best AI, most up-to-date, no hallucinations here. So that's what our modes offer, and I'll show you how that works in a bit. We're really targeted because the AI is so robust towards most WordPress creators. So if you're a WordPress creator who's non-technical, this is great for you because you don't need to know how to code, you just need to know how to ask an AI to get you to where you want to go. And for most of us, especially me, back when I was first getting started, I didn't know how to code, but I knew what I needed and I knew how to explain it. And 8 years ago when I was explaining things, I was explaining them to people on Upwork. Now what I can do is explain it to CodeWP and I'll get the same output. I'll get a great snippet, I'll get a great, very basic functionality plugin, something like that. For developers, it just speeds up the workflow. I consider myself a WordPress developer now. It's very helpful in terms of creating snippets, creating basic plugins, or creating kind of like the beginning of a more impressive, important plugin. So that's that. Agencies, it's very simple. If you offer this to all of your plugins or to all of your developers, you'll just be a more powerful, efficient agency. We offer an agency plan finally, which we have been teasing for months and months and months. So the question becomes, what will you create? And I'll show you a couple examples of that down here. But you can also see we have our public snippets library carried over from version 1.0. This is going to improve in the next couple of weeks, but you can see you can kind of build out pretty complex things using specific modes and offering multiple different languages. Everybody loves the tool. For the beta testers who used this initial version, first, thank you. I appreciate it. And second, it's unbelievable feedback that we've been getting from the people using it. Let me just jump back into a quick chat about the company, if you will. So founded in November 2022. It's been almost a year at this point. We have almost 50,000 WordPress creators using our tools, and we've grown into a legitimate company. We've grown out of a side project into a real company, and you'll definitely see that with this new launch. You'll see it with the cadence that we're releasing new features. You'll see it with the support. You'll see it with the actual platform itself. This is supported by not just me anymore. It's supported by an incredible team. Greg Hunt, incredible CTO, built the entire thing from the ground up, architected everything, and is completely responsible for the release that you see today. So massive kudos to him. I know he's been under a lot of stress and working really hard to get this out to you, so really appreciate that. And then Juan, Avi, Bruno, and Christy, really great team members who have recently come on and been with us since the start, and just really highly supportive people allowing us to build this future of WordPress. If you want to work for us, we are hiring. We're consistently growing. So if you're looking to work for us, you can browse our open positions, codewp.ai/about. You can explore open positions. You can also just send us a resume. We're hiring people from WordPress. Our tech stack is built on PHP and React as a front end. So it's built on the same languages that WordPress is built on for a good reason. We're able to hire from our industry, which just makes it a lot better. We've been mentioned by a lot of people. It's just because we are the only WordPress tool out there and we are consistently innovating here. So I like including this. It's really cool to see Zapier and ClickUp and big companies featuring us as well. I will link you to this in the chat at the end of this. Also, if you're in the Facebook group, facebook.com/group/CodeWP, I will also link you to this. You'll see that this is our launch announcement. Just a whole bunch of information, probably actually covering what I mentioned to you in this video. And pricing. Pricing has increased. With that said, there is a launch discount that does end soon, and this launch discount gives you 33% off your first billing cycle. So if you're going for the yearly plan, you can get 33% off that yearly plan for that first year. This pricing has increased because the scope of the project and platform has increased. Our AI is much more powerful. We offer many more features, and it just makes sense to raise the pricing. We have to be able to support that team that I mentioned, as well as all the innovation that we've been doing and will be doing into the future. So you'll be able to compare and contrast things. If you want to check out kind of what this actually has to offer, feel free. Frequently asked questions, and you're also able to contact us and check out our very good and well-appointed help base, just to get an understanding of what you have when it comes to purchasing CodeWP Pro or agency. I will mention the agency plan right now, really what you're getting here is the multi-seat functionality, so you can invite multiple team members for that base price. That's really the core of what the agency plan offers now. So if you're trying to get this to multiple team members, you can now do that for a much cheaper price than just buying everybody a pro plan. We're going to very soon be launching very enhanced collaborative features so your team members can interact within the chat and code interfaces, and your team members can kind of in real time collaborate with each other, have better sharing capabilities, things like that. Things built for agency. There's also kind of like a hidden enterprise plan, which is basically the agency plan, but if you have more than 10 members, if you're a large agency, I invite you to reach out. We can figure out good pricing for you and how to make the product the best it can be for that large agency / enterprise setup. For the pro mode, there's a lot of new things, and I think instead of just talking about the pricing, I'm going to jump into the platform momentarily. Final thing I want to mention is the modes and presets. So I mentioned modes before. This is carried over from the existing platform. You can see a list of our modes here. Some of these modes are still in beta testing, so go on to the platform and you can sign up for that free account, and you'll see on the platform, here's what is available to you. The reason these are in beta testing is just to be safe. We have to be safe with our releases. We have to make sure that the AI is producing really high quality code that, number one, is accurate, and number two, is secure. And that's why we do beta testing. So we haven't been able to get all of these out yet. I refuse to get out a bad product. So I'm not going to release a mode that will brick your site. That's why some of this is in beta testing. You're able to opt into beta testing within the platform. So if you want to access more things, you can opt into beta testing. Just be warned, things probably will break, because that's why we test things. So these are all the CodeWP modes. We have many more on the way, many more in beta testing right now, so keep an eye out. You can also request new modes with this rewrite of the platform. The ability to add a new mode the time frame is a lot less. It's still pretty difficult to actually train these models and collect the data set and things like that, but the time frame to get these out of the door is less. You'll also see presets. So presets are really related to the CodeWP modes. For a mode, not all modes have presets, but some modes have presets. If you select, say, the WordPress mode, you can then use a specific preset, and I'll show you what that looks like momentarily. Okay, I think that's really it that I wanted to cover on the site itself. Good overview of the new pricing, good overview of the new product, good overview of the company itself. Thank you for sticking around if you are still watching. Appreciate it. Now let's jump into the platform. So this is our platform. You can get to it by just going to codewp/login. You can click the login button up top. You can also, if you don't have an account, register by clicking the register button, codewp.ai/register. That'll bring you to the platform itself. And once you're in the platform, you'll be on the free plan. You have the ability to upgrade to Pro whenever you want. In this example, I am upgraded to Pro. If you are on the free plan, you'll see something here. click view plans, jump into whatever plan makes sense for you. I think the free version allows our users to really understand what this has to offer and how it can really be valuable and beneficial in their workflow. And then when you actually start using it for professional things like actually building a real website or working on client projects and things like that, that's when it becomes a little bit, that's when pro becomes a good idea, I think. Same with agency. If you're an agency, get a taste for it on the free plan, then jump up to agency and get it for all of your developers and coworkers, things like that. So you'll see that there's a complete redesign. This is a completely new platform compared to the old CodeWP, and there's a lot going on here. This is the dashboard. This replay will be available for you afterwards, so hopefully it provides some helpful information. And we have our modes. We also have our presets. And we also have three new terminology items, if you will. So the first thing is a snippet. You're familiar with snippets if you've been on version 1.0. That's a single file contained piece of code that typically does something for WordPress. So it might add a functionality. It might do something on WordPress that can easily be installed into functions.php or into a snippet management tool, anything like that. So in this situation, snippets are kind of the core building block of everything on the platform. I can very easily build a snippet, and I can very easily create multiple snippets, bring them into a package, which you see here. And I don't think I've actually created a package on this test account, but bring them into a package and then export it as a plugin or a theme. So that's where the multi file support really begins to shine, where I can create multiple snippets of multiple languages. The AI will either bring them into a package, or the manual workflow to bring it into a package will allow you to export it as a zipped up plugin or anything like that. Projects also are new here. A project allows you to organize things into a specific website project. And these projects are important right now for organization, and they'll also allow you to create more accurate code generations. You can set kind of the code prefix, you can set the goal of the project, you can do a lot here. In the future, when AI Vision releases to the general public, as well as the helper plugin, which connects directly to a WordPress site, bringing custom information like your server environment, your error logs, things like that, projects become even more powerful because they connect directly to your site. And I'll show you kind of how that works in a second. But those are kind of the three building blocks of the platform. Now that I've covered that, I'm going to just jump in and show you how the tool actually works. You'll see I was messing around about 7 hours ago with the contact form 7 mode, and there are a ton of modes you can see here. Because I'm on Pro, I can jump into pretty much all of these. There's no real limitation between Pro and Agency in terms of the plan access. Agency is really just if you have multiple people, if you want the collaboration features, and in the future custom mode features, things like that. That's what Agency is for. So I'm just going to jump into your standard WordPress mode right now. And you'll see I have two options here. I can jump into chat or snippet. It doesn't really matter which one you choose because the chat and the code is very related to each other. This is now the main editor. This is kind of where pretty much all of the hard work went into, where when we realized we needed to rebuild the platform, this is the first thing we started thinking about. How can we take version 1.0? How can we take all of the learnings from version 1.0 and just make it really beneficial and implement everything that people wanted? So with all of that, let me walk you through kind of the core features that were added that are different than version 1.0. And that's basically everything, honestly. The first thing is multi-file support. So you can see this is a file tab up here. The file itself, you can change the name of the file, and you can also change the language of the file. You can also easily create a new file, and this is kind of as if you were using a code editor. Multiple files, multiple different contexts, things like that. If you have multiple files related within a package, which you can see here, we don't have any packages right now, but if there are multiple files related, say I'm building a form, so I'm building that PHP, then I'm adding JavaScript, then I'm adding CSS here, and it will also show you that it's in a package up top. And as mentioned before, packages are multiple snippets, typically that work together. You can export a package as a zip, or you can just download it, and that zip can then easily be installed into a WordPress site as a plugin, as a theme, as whatever you're trying to build here. So Packages are really important because they allow that prompt to plug in workflow, create a plugin in under 5 minutes. I've been saying it, it's possible now. So that's how that works. Multiple files, file tabs, things like that. You can also see we can jump into chat mode, which I'll show you in a little bit. You'll also see the project support here, so I can choose, and I actually don't have a project, so I can choose to create a new one if I want from here, but that's not what I'm actually going to do. I'm just going to show you. And with the packages, I can also manually create a package as well with the multiple files on the platform. Modes and presets. So modes exist from the previous platform. Again, they're completely revamped and much better than what they used to be. So modes and presets are here. You can easily search and choose a mode as you're generating. Same with the presets. So the presets are related to the specific mode. In this mode in WordPress, I have a bunch of free presets kind of to show you how this thing works. So I can easily create a shortcode, WP query, dashboard widget, cron job, bunch of other things as well. And if I switch to another mode, let's say I go to contact form 7, this also has presets of a custom validation preset. More presets are coming in the next few days. We just have to migrate them over. You'll see WooCommerce as well. It has a shipping method mode and a settings group mode. So presets are kind of those predefined workflows that help you do something. So the final thing I want to talk about before I actually generate something is the new conversational flow. You'll see that this is kind of a chatbot interface now, and it aligns with what I was talking about in the beginning of this webinar, where you can now say, I want to generate code, I want to edit code, I want to explain code. And you can say it conversationally, and CodeWP will understand what you mean when you enter something in there. There are conversation settings here. So auto classification is kind of going to determine this guy wants to generate, this guy wants to edit, this guy wants to explain. You can turn it off if it's not working well for you and just select what you want to happen. Plugin mode will add insert plugin headers into the files that you generate. So if you're trying to create plugins instead of snippets, you can do that very easily. If you're a pro user, you can turn on and off OOP mode. So you can choose between OOP code and functional programming. You can also add doc block comments as well as inline code comments. I'm going to keep all of that off other than auto classification. And I'm just going to show you how it works. So you talk to CodeWP as if you're talking to a developer. This is basically like you have a window into a developer available 24/7 who's very good at his job. And I will start right now with just a very basic example. I'll say, make me a book CPT with tax of authors. Actually, we'll do, publishers. And you'll see I'm being pretty vague with what I'm saying here. Tax, who knows what tax actually means? It means taxonomy, but maybe CodeWP or other AIs wouldn't understand that. In this example, it's WordPress AI. It knows what tax means. It's very good at this. So I'm saying make me a book with a CPT, make me a book CPT, custom post type with a taxonomy of publishers. And in this example, it writes it directly into our editor and it says, okay, here's all of your code. And you can watch the code stream in now compared to the previous version where you had to just sit and wait and hope it was writing the right code. In this new platform, you can actually watch it stream in, and as you watch it stream in, you can click cancel. And if it's the code, if it's going off the rails, essentially, click cancel. You'll save yourself a bunch of time. You'll also notice that CodeWP kind of conversationally responds. It says, hey, I just wrote you this code. Here's what it does. Here's how it works. And now what I can do is I can either go back in and ask clarifying questions here. I can say, can you dive deeper into what this function of custom publishers does? And I'll actually ask that. Can you dive deeper? Can you dive deeper into how this works? And it will say, here's how it works. And it will read the code that you have here, and it will say, let me run you through how it works. So that's the explanation. And the one other thing, as soon as this explanation is done writing, the one other thing I want to show you is the editing. The editing is also conversational, and this is probably the most impressive part of the platform, in my opinion. So we can have our code here, and it's telling me how the code works still, awesome. But we can have our code here, and we can decide, oh, I don't really like this. I don't like this part of the code. I want to, and as this streams in, I'll just type in. I want to change the custom tax labels of publisher and publishers to creator and creators. Okay, so now what I'm doing is I'm asking conversationally for an edit. So instead of, and this is very detailed, I really appreciate it, but I'd love it to be done so I can edit. But now instead of actually needing to go back and completely regenerate a new file, what I can do is go and say, all right, this file kind of works, but at the end of the day, I need to make changes here. I need to make these new, and I'm just going to copy. I need to make these labels new. Can you go and do that for me? And what CodeWP will do is conversationally edit that actual file. So let's see if I can reload this page. I want to get out of my explain, which I might have frozen. Perfect. Now what I can say is in the edit mode, and I don't need to choose edit mode, it's going to select edit mode for me. I can say, please so I'll ask conversationally, can you please edit or change, I didn't even say edit, can you please change the taxonomy labels from publisher to creator? And what CodeWP will do is first identify that I want to edit, and then it will find what needs to be changed and change it in real time. So I think, again, as I mentioned before, this is the most magical thing ever, because it's going to read the code that I have, whatever code I have. I don't even need to generate the code. I can paste code in from an outside source directly into the editor. I can jump into CodeWP and say, all right, I know what I need changed. I don't know how the code works. Can you explain it? I don't know how to edit it, but I know what I need. And I can say in English, change the labels. And if I wasn't super familiar with PHP, I might not know that this is the way to change the labels. But what CodeWP does is it does it for me. And it does it for me in real time in front of my face. It says, here's how you do it. Here's what I've done. I've changed this. And I'm going to show you in real time. I'm going to stream it into the editor as if I'm a developer typing into the editor the change that you've requested. So that's why I said it's the most magical thing ever. When it's a really complicated snippet, I can explain it, I can edit it, I can generate more snippets. It's just really impressive to me. So that is kind of the main demo I wanted to show you. Now I want to show you the support for, actually, let me go back. I'm going to jump back in. So this is the single snippet view. I'm going to jump back in. I want to just show you the chat switching. So if I can jump back into my conversation. The chat mode, as I mentioned before, is very integrated with the editor, the code editor. So I can jump back and forth if I want. I can also just create a new chat, and I'll show you that here. New chat opens up that conversational interface. You were probably pretty familiar with it with CodeWP or ChatGPT. CodeWP, again, it's just specific to WordPress. It's the most accurate. When it comes to WordPress, ChatGPT is a generalist model. We focus on WordPress, so we're the best at it. So I can just ask random questions here. It's just like ChatGPT, but for WordPress. But here, what I can also do is in my editor interface, I can jump into the chat mode. And this just carries over my conversation. So if I'm finding myself in the editor and I'm changing a bunch of things around and I'm editing and I'm explaining, but I'm kind of, instead of editing code at one point, I'm really trying to dive deep into how does this specific thing work? Can you give me examples about how it works? Can you show me? Can you teach me various things? I can easily jump into chat mode, carry over that conversation, and continue on my way. So I can say, I don't really know what I would want to learn more about a custom post type, but I can say, how can I query these posts? And I'll just submit that as my chat, and of course we have a lovely error occurring. But in the perfect world, what it would do is respond to me in that conversational manner, pulling in my previous generations. Let me retry it real quick and see if that fixes things. If not, we're going to continue on our way. There we go. So it will tell me, here's how you can do it. Here's an example of a WP query. I'll write it out for you and be on my way. And I think it's duplicating things because I clicked the retry button. But as you can likely see, it should write me exactly how it works and tell me, here's what you can do in this situation. It's a great way to kind of continue the conversation. But again, you can use your modes for chat specific purposes without being connected to that editor and go from there. So after all of that lovely flickering, which doesn't happen when you actually use it, you can see here's the example I've given you. This is how you can query the posts. So something really cool here is, again, it's really integrated with the code and chat. You can jump back and forth and back and forth. So what I can do is I can create a snippet from this example of code, and now I have a snippet here, gives me that example, carries over the conversation, and I'm back in my editor where I can say, also edit to show the post excerpt. My spelling is incredible. So now that I've jumped back from chat into code, I can say, hey, can you just edit this post so it also shows the excerpt? And it'll just add that as well. So that's just to demonstrate, very easy to jump back and forth between various things. That's that. I'm going to show you presets now. I think that's what I want to do. So preset PHP. So presets, as I mentioned before, are very related to modes. So not all modes have presets. You'll see some of them don't, some of them do. The free presets come with WordPress, I believe, and it's very helpful to just check out how the presets work. They're very powerful settings. So I choose the WP query preset, and what this is going to do is it's going to help me create a WP query. And this is going to, a WP query is a way to get posts or content or something like that. And what the preset does is it kind of walks me through the process of creating the code. So I can say, all right, with this WP query, what do you want? What content types do you want? And I'll carry over that books example. I want to get CPT of books. And I'll submit that. And it will ask me probably another question. Okay, we'll get the content for books. Now, how do you want it to be ordered? Random. And you'll see, like, for each of these presets, there's going to be a predefined workflow that goes on. If we get this error, which hopefully should be resolved momentarily, if we get this error, you can simply reload the page and retry it, and it should work fine. The results will be ordered randomly. Finally, are there any specific conditions or filters for the content? I want it to be all after 08, 01 or 09, whatever, 12. So I want all of the posts to be published after that date. All right, we're going to show you these things. Now it's going to, after having collected all of my information, generate the actual preset. And I don't know if it's working. We might have to give it a little bit or reload the page again, but that's how the preset works. It goes and says, all right, for your specific use case, I'm going to ask you a whole bunch of questions, figure out what you actually need. So you don't need to know how WP query works. You just need to know how to get from point A to point B. I'll ask you the questions, and then I'll create the code. And we'll see if it worked on the back end. Maybe not. And if it doesn't work, I'm going to continue onwards. You can try it on the free CodeWP plan yourself and test out how the presets work. So we'll do that a little bit later. That's that. The final thing, we're getting to the end of it, I promise. The final thing I want to show you is the actual multi-file generation. And this is, I think, the edit feature is the most impressive feature here. But the multi-file support is also pretty darn impressive. So I'm going to just jump into a new interface, completely blank from scratch, and you'll see I'm in WordPress mode, and I'm going to say I want a form plugin. Make me a form plugin with styles, custom, Ajax, submission, admin, settings, page, and I want to send it to a Slack channel. I will. Okay, so I have just entered a very poorly spelled and very complex, it's not complex in length, but it's a very complex prompt. I want to create a form plugin. I want styles. I want Ajax submission. I want an admin settings page spelled wrong, and I want to send it to a Slack channel. I'm going to give the webhook. This is a pretty crazy thing that the old platform couldn't handle. Even ChatGPT, while it might be able to give you the files, it's not going to give you them the way this works. I'm going to submit the request, and what it will do is begin creating me my form plugin. You'll see it's streaming in the headers for the plugin, and it's going to figure out from my request, okay, we need the form plugin, we need the styles, we need the Ajax backend to submit to the Slack channel, we need the admin settings page to probably house that webhook. I'm going to go create all of this for you. So you'll see the first thing, it's the custom settings page. The second thing is the form, the information within the form. The third thing is probably the form itself. And it just continues onwards and onwards and onwards and creates the actual plugin in front of my very eyes, which is awesome. What it does after that is, hopefully because I asked for CSS and the Ajax, it'll figure out, hey, this guy needs to incorporate external code into his generation. In the previous version of the platform, you were kind of out of luck. There were no multi-file support. There was no support for multiple languages at all. So you were kind of just hoping that it would work. In our situation, now that there are multiple files, now that there are multiple languages supported here, what I can do is go ahead and just watch my entire plugin come together. The AI generates me a package, which I'll show you up here. I can just take that package, export it, and then install it into a WordPress site as a plugin. So that's kind of how that works. And of course, my internet connection is shady. I'm assuming you guys are getting buffering too, but we're having issues there. But that will give you the multiple files and kind of continue on its way. And luckily, we were able to restart it and go from there. But I think that this example is probably the most impressive example other than the editing, simply because it adds multiple files and you can really start building out pretty complex and crazy plugins from it. As this is generating, I'm going to check out the questions and see what's here and go from there. Does the new CodeWP discount apply to monthly plans? It does apply to monthly plans, but it only applies to one billing cycle. And the reason behind that is because this platform costs a lot of money to operate. It makes more sense for the annual plans to have this discount. So we're hoping you get the annual plan, but it will apply to that monthly plan as well. It gives you, I think, a great way to try all of the pro features out. And if it makes sense, you can continue with it, or you can upgrade prorated to an annual plan. What happens to the subscribers of the old CodeWP? I signed up to a yearly plan last month, and I'm now back on free. So that is a good question. Right now, some of the pro members do not have access to the pro features. With that said, you will soon have access to the pro features. The migration, it's huge. As I mentioned, we're nearing like 50,000 users. So it's just a really big migration, and some of that got caught up. All of that to be said, you will have access to pro. You'll also keep the pricing that you paid for the platform grandfathered into your pricing. So as long as you keep that subscription active, you'll have the old pricing and you'll be good to go. So I know some of you guys are having issues with it. It will be fixed hopefully now, but it will be fixed momentarily. Excited to get into this. Looks fantastic. How's it looking? Paid for this days ago. If you paid for it days ago, again, you're probably going to be, I don't know if you're going to have access or not. Most people have access. Some people don't have access. You will have access by today and be good to go. Looks like it's using GPT-4. We're trained on WordPress. No. So we're actually doing specific things here. Our backend is custom. We have a bunch of different things going on here. When you submit something, and of course we have our little error message, but when you submit something, it will first figure out what does this person want to do. That uses a custom AI model. Then it will figure out, okay, how best can I go do that? That uses another AI model. And then from a collection of different models on the back end, it chooses one, which is likely fine-tuned by us, by CodeWP, using a proprietary data set to go and create the code for you. So this is not GPT-4. This is not GPT 3.5. As I mentioned before, it's better than ChatGPT, specific for WordPress, because we've created AI for WordPress. And we're going to continue creating AI for WordPress and continue going on our way to go and do this. So that hopefully answers the question of what's up with this AI. It's custom AI. It's built for WordPress, and that's because we are... I'm just getting distracted by my generations. That's because we are built for WordPress here. So that's the answer to that question. Is this AI able to analyze different websites and replicate their styles in any way? No, but when we launch ChatGPT, or when we launch AI Vision, you'll be able to connect to your WordPress website. You'll also be able to upload like sketches and things like that, and you'll get back a Gutenberg block or a widget or something like that for a page builder. Same with the AI connection to the front end of your site. You can ask it to do something based on that structure of the front end of the site. So that's that. One other thing, Chuck, that I wanted to mention is right now we're using a lot of fine-tuned models that already exist. Some of these are open source. Some of these are based off of other models. Everything that we're doing is for WordPress, though. With that said, we're going to very hopefully launch our own completely base model for WordPress specifically and open source it. So you see a lot of these models coming out like Llama 2 and things like that. Hopefully at some point next year we'll be able to train our own WordPress model for our use internally because it's more accurate, it's quicker, it's cheaper for us to run. But we'll also want to open source it in the nature of WordPress, like those Llama 2 models and the other open source models. So that's kind of the goal in terms of AI. Hopefully we're able to hit that next year. I think it would be awesome. Testing the code. What about testing the code? We are launching testing tools for the code momentarily. Right now what you can do is explain the code, and it's very good at identifying any errors that might be problematic here. When we launch the testing feature, that's going to incorporate WP Playground directly into the platform, and what's going to happen is it will allow you to click, I don't know where the button will be, but it'll allow you to click test this code button. You see we have a multi-file package here with multiple scripts and things like that. I can take this, click the test button, it pops up using that WordPress Playground in-browser instance. It pops up a version of WordPress 6.3 or whatever the most up-to-date version of WordPress is. It automatically takes this, installs it as a plugin on the WordPress site, and then goes ahead and you can test it. And this kind of fixes the manual process of me going to the package, and I'll show you how this installation works. Going to the package, I find my AI generated package, I download it as a zip file. For me now, the best way is probably to do instawp or wp.new, which uses instawp, which is a free and paid service. Really awesome WordPress startup, by the way. So go support them as well as us. You can go and use instawp, export the package, and install it here. So that's how we test now, at least internally. You can test on like a local site, anything like that. And I'll just upload the plugin to show you kind of that process. But for me, my goal to over the next couple of months, I think the second big launch that we're going to do with the platform is that integrated testing suite, which basically does what I just did, but automatically. And you'll see my form is here. My Slack form settings are registered. If I can load it. So on and so forth. But with all of that said, testing will be, there will be a button. You will click the button. It will install the snippet in a snippet manager, or it will install the plugin and you can go and test it. Pretty cool. All right. Gutenberg blocks is created with React like the real way. Yes, they will be. We support JavaScript. We support React. I really wanted to come out of the gate marketing that we can create full Gutenberg blocks, and in many cases you can. It takes a little bit of prompt engineering and tweaking using the Gutenberg mode. We're going to be adding a preset to make a Gutenberg block, which will really make it 100% accurate when it comes to making these blocks. It makes the code right correctly, but in my testing, I've only been able to create a block like 80% of the times, so I don't really want to advertise that until we can actually create the block, and I think the best way to do that is probably through the preset. So we'll be supporting native Gutenberg blocks. We actually already do, so you can try it yourself and see how it works for you. We will also be supporting MetaBox, ACF, and a really cool smaller plugin called Block Studio. So if you don't know what Block Studio is, check it out. It's an awesome plugin. It's probably the easiest way to make Gutenberg blocks, and we'll support that too. So right now it's kind of supported, but it can be better, and we will make it better. What about testing the code? We did that. Question: some of the output seems more basic. HTML, can it go and build out class-based? Yeah, great question, Chuck. And the answer is yes. You can prompt it to do that. If you're on the Pro plan, you can also open the conversation settings and ask for OOP, and it will go and do that. So that's kind of, when I'm actually using this myself, I will go and use OOP mode. I like OOP better. I can understand it better. But the basic free version and the default version for Pro and Agency will be functional, but you can change that. Even if you're in free, I'll give you a little tip. You can go and just prompt for OOP, and it'll make it in OOP. So there's no issue there. It really, again, as I mentioned in the beginning of this chat, it really works towards all types of use cases. So if you just want something and you don't know how you want it to be done, you can ask for it. And if you're non-technical, you can ask for it. But if you're not, if you're a developer and you know you want it this way and you want this specific function and method, you can ask for that too. And it's very good when it comes to working for your use case. Okay, so that's that. With InstaWP, could there be checkboxes to install Bricks theme? So we're not using InstaWP, just a note. We will be using WP Playground. So check out WP Playground if you don't know about it. It's an open source project, and it runs WordPress in the browser. InstaWP runs WordPress on a server. It's a great service. I love it. There's going to be a place for it in the future, even when we add this built-in testing suite. But for now, because we don't have the testing suite, InstaWP is the easiest way to do it. Chuck, it's seen to pull Gravity Forms DevDocs. Yep, that's the goal. I mean, the goal is to make this thing specific to WordPress. Obviously, it's the first day of the massive launch that we've been building for months and months and months. It's not going to be perfect off the bat. It will be as close to perfect as humanly possible, but it will continue to improve over time. One other thing with our AI, it self-learns and it auto-improves. So when you rank the AI good or bad, you have those thumbs in the generations here. If you rank this good, that helps us. If you rank it bad, that helps us as well. So AI consistently improves platform-wide, but it also improves for your specific generations. It learns what you like doing, it learns how you do it, and it will make the code better because of it. Excited for the Bricks Builder integration more than anything. So many people have been asking about the Bricks Builder integration, so really excited to bring that to the market. In addition to that integration, Bricks will have a ton of presets. I don't know if we have migrated them over yet. No, we didn't. But Bricks will have a ton of presets, including conditions, visibility, custom tags, and elements. We're going to allow you to build elements. That might take a little bit longer. We just have to test it and make sure it works well, so you're not installing code that breaks things. But I know there have been a lot of people asking for Bricks. You have Bricks now. You can use it yourself, but the presets will also be here in the future. Let me just run back through everything, make sure. Touch on vision and roadmap. That's what I'm going to close with, so I will mention that momentarily. Kevin, sorry, what I meant was my idea have the checkboxes installed. Okay, so that's not going to be built into the platform. We're going to use WP Playground. It's going to be relatively simple. I believe for non-premium plugins, so Bricks is a premium plugin, but WooCommerce isn't. So if you're testing with WooCommerce, it will automatically install into WooCommerce. And that will bring in WooCommerce. It'll bring in the snippet that you've created for it and allow you to test pretty easily. But for more complex things, and there's going to be messaging around this when we launch it, for more complex things, you do want to test on a local environment with all of your plugins installed. You do want to test on maybe InstaWP environment, things like that. So that's the answer there. The testing will be very helpful, but it's not going to be the end all be all. There's still going to be a place for local and InstaWP. So big shout out to them. Couple more questions that I'll talk about roadmap, and then we'll wrap it up because I'm sure I need to jump into support and a whole bunch of other things. So we will cover one more thing. How is it with refactoring older code to newer WP functions? So it's good now. It's going to get better. As I mentioned, we're improving the AI consistently. Some of that improvement is like self-learning in a sense, but some of it is us actually working on our data sets, us working on our models. So what we've launched with is kind of version 1.0 of the backend API. I mentioned there's routing algorithms. I mentioned there's external context being pulled in. I mentioned that there's fine-tuned models. All of this is going to improve in the future. So as we proceed down the path of multiple months, because this is now launched, we can begin focusing on that AI. We can begin really working on the data sets, improving them, improving the models themselves, using the user feedback to improve as well. So these thumbs buttons, again, are very important, and it'll just improve a lot better. So to answer your question, it's probably pretty good to refactor old code, but it will get even better. And specifically with WordPress version 6.4, when that releases, we're going to do a big backend update to the AI to kind of be really up to date with version 6.4, pulling in information about everything else too. So it'll get even better than what you see now. I'll do one more question, I promise. Support for breakdance elements. I don't know. We didn't launch with breakdance elements because I think they're registered in like the Element Studio. I'm not familiar with breakdance. I haven't used it really myself in a professional setting. So if we can register breakdance elements with code, the answer is yes, if it's not like crazy complex. So you can hit me on support. You can email support or you can actually click help and support and pop up the new support bot here. You'll get to me and we can talk about it more. If it makes sense, we'll definitely go ahead and do it. Okay, this is it. I'm going to talk about the roadmap and future now, and then we'll wrap it up. So roadmap and future, as I kind of mentioned before, there's a lot that we've done so far, and there's a lot to do. So in terms of the AI, you're going to get onto this platform and see a massive increase to the previous platform in the generations, the accuracy, the security, everything. It's much better now. Additionally, you're going to see a huge boost in that AI accuracy over the next couple of months, specifically with the modes. So as the months proceed, as we get more information about how users are using the platform, we'll be able to train and tailor our AI models to react accordingly. That AI will just get much, much better. Additionally, the more you use your own account, the better it gets for you. So you'll just see improvements there as well. So AI will seriously improve. That's kind of a roadmap item, but it's not something that has a date to it because it's just constantly improving. We're always going to strive to be the best AI tool in WordPress. If you need WordPress specific code, if you need WordPress specific answers, we're going to be the tool for it. I guarantee it. Right now, we're already better than ChatGPT. We're better than any other tool on the market. And if anybody pops up, let me know and I will make sure we're better than them as well. So that's the AI side of things. The modes, we're going to consistently release more and more modes over the next couple of weeks out of beta into production. We need to meet testing goals and criteria to release a mode to you guys, just so it works out of the box as best as it can. So we need to run through testing. You'll see a lot of more modes come online over the next couple of weeks. If you would like to test some of the beta modes, you can actually do that. I don't know where you can do that. Okay, if you jump into the settings tab, you can opt into the public beta features, and that will put you on the list to get access to some of the beta stuff. So modes we will continue to be adding in the coming weeks. Same with presets. You'll see a lot more presets actually coming in the next few days, whereas a lot more modes coming in the next few weeks. Modes, that's AI. The longer term roadmap here is security and troubleshooting. We're going to build a suite of AI tools for WordPress creators. So I've been saying that since the start. You can kind of see we're already orienting ourselves towards that suite of tools. It's all going to be in this one platform, and this one platform is going to use our underlying AI to do code and chat, which is what this entire webinar was about, as well as security and troubleshooting. So security and troubleshooting are going to be very, very big features, and these are kind of what we're working towards in the beginning of 2024. First on the roadmap is troubleshooting. Troubleshooting uses a helper plugin that connects to your WordPress site. It uses the projects feature that's already built into WordPress, and you'll be able to essentially go troubleshoot your WordPress website from the chat interface when you have a connected project. So say I'm working on my agency site Isotropic, and I go and I connect the conversational troubleshooting. There's a white screen of death. I don't know what is causing it. I don't know how to fix it. You ask the chatbot, it uses the helper plugin to figure out what's wrong with the site, and it tells you how to fix it. So that's troubleshooting. Security is a little bit down the line, but we're going to just use AI to do security better than the legacy solutions out there. From our early testing, AI can secure WordPress incredibly well. So we'll be offering a security product, and that will kind of make this suite of tools for WordPress creators. It's going to be everything for the creator, the one building and maintaining the WordPress site. We're never going to get into content. We're never going to generate things like that, but we will do that. The longest term thing that we're working on is something called an AI agent, and this is not specific to us. It's a term that the industry uses, and an agent allows AI to access actual buttons and functions and do things on a site. So we're going to have an agent that sits in your WordPress site. It will do whatever you want it to do. You can say, hey, can you please optimize my site for speed? And it will go and figure out if you have a speed optimization caching plugin. If you don't, it will suggest one and install it for you. It will configure it for you. It will act as if it is another developer sitting in your WordPress site. You can use all of the chat. You can use all of the security and troubleshooting features with it. And it can actually click the buttons in WordPress. It can actually run PHP commands. It can run WP CLI commands. That's very far down the line, but that's kind of the biggest thing we're working towards. So all of that is the roadmap. We have a public roadmap, which is linked in the footer of our site. It probably needs to be refreshed, if not already. I need to publish it probably. So if it's old, check back tomorrow and it will be new, and it will kind of mention all of what I've mentioned here. So that's kind of that. In the next couple of months, you can look out for AI Vision, which I mentioned in the middle of this presentation. Screen share to our chat, and then you can offer, our AI can offer accessibility suggestions, things like that, as well as the testing suite, which hopefully will be the first big release. I think that's going to be really important. So those are kind of the big things on the way, and that is the platform. That's the presentation of the platform. I'm really glad that you guys support us like this. There are obviously going to be bugs with this platform. We will fix the bugs as soon as humanly possible. As I mentioned before, it's no longer just me, thank God. It's an incredible team of really talented developers. So we will be able to fix any issues that may arise momentarily. One thing to note for you pro guys, some of the accounts have not migrated over yet. So if you're on a free account and you've paid for pro on the previous platform, don't freak out. We are not trying to steal your money. You will have pro, and you will have pro at the price that you paid for it, as long as you keep the subscription active. That's that. That's the presentation. Welcome to CodeWP version 2, and also use the code new to CodeWP if you don't own a plan for 33% off the first billing cycle. Again, I mentioned this before as well. First billing cycle, so I think that's a good way to, if you're paying monthly, figure out if this is a good tool for you. You can pay monthly on that cheaper rate, then you can upgrade to a yearly plan if you want. But I would suggest pay yearly, use that 33% off the entire year, and you'll go ahead and work. It should go ahead and work. Final thing, we now have like good support, which is good news for everybody. The old platform didn't have great support. The new one does. So if you're on the platform and you have an issue, click help and support, jump into here, ask a question, and we will help you. If you are unable to get into the platform, which I see Luther mentioning, you can very easily contact us, support@codewp.ai, and we will fix it 100%. I'll check out the database and see if you exist. So that goes for everybody, but Luther specifically. If you need support@codewp.ai, and we will support you. If you're in the platform, use the help and support bot here. All right, that is CodeWP 2.0. Get 33% off. Use the code new CodeWP in the platform. Click view plans, go and upgrade. And yeah, really excited for this to finally be out. And there's a lot on the way in the future. Thank you so much for supporting us. I really appreciate the enthusiasm behind AI and WordPress. I love doing this. This is my favorite job ever. So thank you for supporting me as a founder and the team who also shares the same opinions about building this awesome product. Any other questions, feel free to reach out, support@codewp.ai. I'm in there, so I will be able to check it out. And you can also hit me on Twitter @JamesW.LePage if you just want to talk about like AI and WordPress. I love talking about it, so that's my personal account. That's that. All right, thank you so much for tuning in to this hour and a bit webinar. We have a couple things to fix, which will be fixed momentarily. And yeah, enjoy CodeWP 2.0.